if you're watching this right now and you've been frustrated, you've been feeling like the dating water is murky, and you feel like, man, I keep connecting with all these wrong people and it's not working out for me. I'm about to throw in the towel, like this, where's my person? Like, this episode is for you. Now, if you're married watching this, what I'm going to share, those 4 powerful tips and strategies that I'm going to share with women who are dating could still apply to you, because you can take those same strategies and tweak it for your marriage and still see a shift within your marriage. But this specific episode is for women who are still navigating the dating realm and who's looking for their person and who's praying to God that God will bring that person. They've been stuck for a while. Once you understand the privilege that you have being God's daughter, your relationships, your marriage, your dating experiences will never, ever look the same again. You're never going to be as frustrated as you are. You're going to know exactly what to do, who to connect with, who to say no to. Like, it's just that simple. Now I'm looking back, I'm like, I cannot believe, I used to miss what God was communicating to me. To be fair, that was before I really understood what my gifting was, which is, for many of you who may not know, the gift of sight. God has called me as a seer, where a lot of times he will reveal things to me. But before I knew this, I can look back and see situations where before someone would come into my life, God would reveal it to me. I would have a very detailed dream of who that person was, and also like certain qualities about them. Sometimes it could be certain flaws, it could be certain spiritual bondage they're under, sometimes it could be things they're struggling with. And God wouldn't necessarily show me these things to say, this is your person, but he would reveal to me, this person's about to come into your life. And I would have these dreams, and then 2 days later I would meet the person. I'm like, oh, there you are. And I would already know things about them. I would know that this person operates in witchcraft. I would know this person has a spiritual bondage. I would know this person struggle with lust. I would know, because God would make it so plain and clear to me. I'm like, oh, okay, it's only a matter of days now before this person pop into my life. And I'm sharing this with you because it ties so profoundly into the first tip and strategy that I'm going to share with you, is that if you're dating on your own and you're trying to navigate the dating realm on your own, most oftentimes you're going to open up yourself to the wrong person, because sometimes Satan as well will send people into your life to masquerade as the right person, to masquerade as the person that you meant to be with, only to derail your life, because he understands that relationships has a very powerful pull, right? Relationships are meant to bring us to where we need to be purpose wise, or it could derail your life. And the enemy understands that. And if you are not really operating and going through your dating experiences in a very strategic way, you'll find yourself in a loop, in a cycle, with the wrong men, with the wrong people coming into your life. And you're going to ask yourself, well, I thought this was it. I thought this was it. So with that said, the first tip is to navigate the dating realm, not as a casual fun thing for yourself, but do it with God. And when I say that, I'm not saying that you should go to the dating realm very rigid. That's not what I'm saying. Have fun, but also at the same time, screen according to what God is showing you. As a child of God, as God's daughter, he will show you everything that's about to come into your life. I'm not saying that everybody has my gift of sight. I'm not saying everybody operates as a seer, but dreams and visions, God gives it to all his children, right? The only difference with a seer is that it's every single night. God is communicating to us, very specifically every night. We see everything. But if you're praying to God and asking him, who is the person that he has for me, he will reveal that thing to you. So one of the things I would tell you is pay attention to your dreams, right? There's a previous episode where I shared with you how to tap into the spiritual realm, how to hear from God, and also that there's a certain way you have to posture your heart. If you haven't seen that, go back to our playlist, our podcast playlist, and you'll see the video, what you need to do for God to enter your prayers. Because if you tap into that episode and you do what I share in there, you're going to be in a very great position for you to see, and God will reveal to you everything that's about to take place, right? This is something I have lived. I didn't always understand, like I've mentioned, but looking back, I'm like, wow, like every person that I would have met in the past, God revealed them to me. God gave me God showed me what was about to happen, right? And so if you're someone who's navigating the dating realm and you're like, God, I don't want to get it wrong, show me the people that the enemy's sending, and also show me the people that you're sending, he's going to do it. It's like having someone looking out for you. It's like someone knowing the future and he's giving you a glimpse of what's to come so that you can either choose to be with that person or not, right? So the first tip again is to date with God. Every time you are putting yourself out there, you're meeting people, don't do it by yourself. Have him screen for you and have him reveal to you what's about to come. You will never make the mistake ever again of opening up your heart, in your mind, in your soul, in your spirit to somebody who was only a counterfeit coming to derail your life. Because he's a good father. He's going to reveal the truth. And all you got to do is just obey. This is for those of you who's been doing it on your own, navigating the dating realm on your own, but also for those of you who's been so guarded. Maybe you've been hurt in the past, you keep choosing wrong, and you're super guarded, and now you're like, I don't want to do this again. It's not your job to protect your heart. It's not your job to protect yourself. It's not your job to put a big barrier in front of you and be like, I'm not letting anybody in. It's God's job to protect you. And a lot of you who's doing this on your own is because you're still operating with masculine energy, which is a whole different episode we're going to tap into. You think it's your job to protect yourself. You put a big barrier in front of you, but in reality, God's like, that's my job to protect you. When you partner with me to date, I'm going to protect you because I'm going to show you everything to come. It's your job to open up and to screen and to love and to be fun and open and flirty, and but all with tact, because your father has already given you the instruction as to what's to come, and now you know how to operate with who because you have insight. Again, I'm going to repeat it. It is not your job to protect your own heart. Your job is to surrender your dating experiences to God and be free flowing in the process, because He's doing the hardest part, which is to protect you and to reveal things to you and to give you, insight that you would never know without Him. And one of my favorite verses is Jeremiah 33, verse 3. And this is a verse that I've always loved before I even knew what my gifting was. Isn't it interesting how God will allow your heart to resonate, by the way, with a certain verse that He knows is in connection to what your gift is, but in reality, it's like I never knew that. I just love the verse. But anyway, Jeremiah 33, verse 3 lets us know, right, very clearly. I'm not going to read it to you because I want you to get into the habit of opening up the Bible for yourself. But God shows His children the future very clearly. Number 2, make sure you're dating when you're ready for what you ultimately want and not what you're currently ready for now. So what does that look like? If you know you ultimately want to be married, but right now you're like, I'm in a season where I'm working on myself and I'm working on my purpose, and like I'm focusing on me, I'm healing my heart, and you're not ready right now for marriage, but you would still like companionship type of a thing. One of the worst thing you could do is to date right now for companionship, knowing you ultimately want marriage. Because what's going to happen is that you're going to connect with somebody who wants the same thing that you want now. Amos 3 verse 3 says, can two walk together unless they agree? So you may agree with the person now, oh, I want companionship, I just want somebody to spend time with, and the person wants the same. And then 3 months, 6 months, a year into this relationship, everything is flowing well because you're on the same path. But then now you feel ready. Now you feel a little bit more healed. Now you're where you want to be purpose-wise. Now you're in a whole different space. You're like, okay, now I would love to enter into this marriage. But you're with someone who just wants companionship. They don't want a committed relationship leading to marriage. And so here you are now developing feelings, getting close to someone, building routines with somebody who does not ultimately want what you want. And now you have to make a decision. Well, what do? I have a bond with this person, but they don't want what I ultimately wanted, which is marriage. And so you're really shooting yourself on the foot when you do that. And so no matter how tempting it is, because again, as women, or if you're a man as well watching this, a lot of times we're relational beings. And so you may find yourself wanting someone close, wanting someone to talk to, wanting someone to do things with, wanting someone to explore the world with. But it's like, what's the point if a year from now, 2 years from now, 6 months from now, you're going to find yourself going into opposite direction because you never really ultimately wanted the same thing? You wasted your time. You've put yourself in a position for heartbreak, and you've also put yourself in a position to have to start over, because when you've been with someone, you have to heal from that relationship before you jump into the right one. At least that's how you should go about it if you want to make sure that your next relationship thrives and succeed, and you're not mingling the feelings you have with the previous person with this person now, right? And so do not date unless you're ready for what you ultimately want. Please take what I'm sharing to heart, because I've seen too many women who are heartbroken, who are hurt because they have to continuously start over, looking for the person who want what they want. Okay, because now they're ready. Number 3 is to learn how to properly screen the person. A lot of you ladies are only picking, keyword here, only picking based on those things, which is height, race, age. Like, it's so, you're just focusing on the demographic of this person. Is he tall enough? What race is he? Is he, this and that? It's like you're looking at the superficial shell, but then it's like the core of who the person is that's going to maintain this relationship, maintain that marriage, allow this person to be a great father, a great husband, a man who's submitted to the Holy Spirit. Like, you're not looking at those things, right? It's so important for you to screen properly, and a lot of women don't know how. How do I know? Because as a relationship coach, as a professional coach, like when I coach women, I hear it all the time. They never take time to really evaluate what they need. They're just going based on their feelings. But men, when they date very logically, okay? And for women, sometimes you date based on your emotion, based on what you feel. But it's like, it's not going to work, not at the beginning. You want to make sure that you have a blueprint. And I'm not talking about creating, how people talk about like, oh, I've made a list and it's like a superficial list. No. Let's really talk about the foundational, important, needed things that makes a relationship work. Not just what you want. What are those foundational things that makes all relationships thrive? You need to have a deep understanding as to what those things are. Okay? Yes, romance is important. Yes, like this, I'm not dismissing those things. But fundamentally, you need to understand and know what those things are that makes all relationships thrive. Okay? I'm not saying it's a one size fit all, but we would all agree with your cooking. You want it to taste like something, you have to put salt and seasoning in it, right? It doesn't matter what culture you're from. Every cooking has seasoning, some level of it, more or less based on what culture, but there's a basis, is what I'm saying. So all relationships, there are foundational things that makes those relationships work. You need to understand what those things are. And so when you first understand what those things are, you will no longer pick superficially. You no longer, and again, it's not saying you cannot have a preference as to what you're attracted to. That's not what I'm talking about. And a lot of times your preference really comes from society, and you've been fed these preferences and you don't even know where it's coming from. Sometimes it's rooting from hurt. It's rooting from what you've always seen. It's rooting from insecurities. And so if you're not careful, you're going to be choosing someone based on a preference that's not even foundational, that's not even grounded on anything. But that's a whole different episode when we start digging deeper into what makes us us, what drives you to be how you are and all these different things. But be careful. But it's important to know what you're looking for. And a lot of the women we work with, when I coach women, part of our program, when I coach, or part of our video guide that teaches women exactly how to navigate relationships, their inner world, their marriages, and all these different things. Like when we talk about the foundational things that makes all relationships work, I often give them access to My Ideal Husband workbook that I've created based on my own journey that has been so successful. And now we provide it to our clients. And some clients, they buy the workbook itself. And it's such a profound thing. Like this is a workbook that helps women when they're dating. It helps women who are married to realign their relationships. It's a workbook that allows women to not miss the mark when it comes to relationships, marriage. It doesn't matter what aspect of it, right? So if you want access to this workbook that has been completely shifting women's lives, you're going to find a link at the bottom of this and get a copy, because it's a powerful workbook that the Holy Spirit has called me to create. And I see the results with all the women that has filled it out and worked on it. So if this is you've been navigating dating and it hasn't been working for you, make sure you get a copy. And number 4, a lot of you are not healed. You want to get into a relationship, but you're still bleeding all over your person. Daddy issues, self-esteem issues, people-pleasing issues, and the whole 9 yards. And there's a list of things I often share with women as well that they don't often even think about that is holding them back from love. And so healing is a big part of it. And this whole podcast is about emotional and spiritual healing, right? And so if you're watching this video and this is you're like, you know what? I need to know what to do. And also I feel like I'm bleeding all over people. My past divorce, my past relationship, my daddy issues, self-esteem issue, it's holding me back. Reach out to me. This is exactly the work that I do with women, taking them through a journey, holding their hand, giving them access to our video guide. And for people who need one-on-one coaching, I work with them as well. So if this is you, reach out to me. All the information is on the description box. I hope this video was insightful. It was a blessing. I'm excited to continue to support you. Until next time.